Our switchheads! Kanan here, taking you through the Bush Hockey League review lineup. But before we do that, here's a special announcement from me. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. It's free and won't cost you anything to do so. And if you like free, then you'll be wanting to take advantage of that like button, 100% cost free, and it helps tiny channels like mine grow. You know it's the right thing to do. Now, let's take a look at hockey. Engage. Firstly, I really don't know much about hockey, so this is from a newbie's perspective before all the comments come in along telling me I don't know what I'm talking about and that I suck. Thank you very much in advance. So why not save your fingers for something a lot more constructive? The story for this one is like a career mode, and between matches gives a calendar and info for your perusal. Okay, so this is your calendar. So basically, all your days of the week and everything, when you're going to be playing and all. This is actually your calendar, like. And then you go through the months, see who you're playing, what you're playing, blah, blah, blah. This wasn't exactly, I mean, I can't get into things like this in depthly, like player stats. This has got all sorts of different information on different like player stats. I presume the teams and things like that. If you're well into this sort of thing, you'll really like this, but it's not so in-depth that it's really put me off, and I'm thinking, well, that's a bit too much and all that lot. League stats, I suck, so I'm not going to be anywhere decent, of course. And then you've got, where is it? Next game, and then collectibles. Collectibles, I'm just at the start of the game at the moment. And yeah, cards. Everybody loves these things, don't they? You know, they're digital, they're not worth anything, but you can actually pick them up by doing certain things and gain them. So yeah, it is in depth, but it's not so in depth that you think, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do this or anything. You will get into it. Keep trying. As well as this mode, there is a exhibition mode for quick play and just for good measure, up to 4-player gaming throughout the game. Between matches, you're treated to some info that kind of loops, and also a newspaper clipping with some extra info to read. I'm not quite sure how real all this is, or indeed if it adds to the player experience, but it's nice to have something to read as the loading screens are actually quite long between matches. Okay, so entering a game will have... Okay, so firstly, when you enter a game, it gives you the game objectives. As you can see, take 20 or more shots, score 3 or more goals, allow no more than 30 shots against, and loads and loads more. Picking your controller, that's about it. Up to 4 players, of course, as we mentioned. Obviously, you're on this team. If you were, I'm presuming, playing against someone, you'd be able to pick the other team. And then you get to pick your stripes, as in your uniform. And yeah, there's loads. Well, I wouldn't say loads, but there are some that you can unlock. And yeah, then you basically can do the same on the other side. And then you can play. Ready, but the biggest downside about this game is how long the loading screen. I mean, these come up, which is great. And ages and ages. It's just lucky that all the games played out in one, and it's not has to load in every half time or whatever they're called, sections. But it does give you a little bit of info on things. Just a long time. And so, let's play hockey. The first thing you will notice when finally entering a game is the sheer level of detail on offer. The commentary gets underway and it's pretty cool, with loads of little bits of info on players and the match and things. I think lovers of hockey may actually enjoy this. As for them controls, well, there's 3 difficulty modes, and controls ranging from simple button taps to a more experienced flicking the thumbsticks and the like. Okay, so you lost that one. So basically that's the puck thing, and then you can like change your character and switch between the characters rather, and these are the ones with the star on it. Oh, I got it. No, I didn't. It's actually quite, I mean, really difficult to not control, just get into. It's not easy, and it's even more not easy when I'm like concentrating on this. But let's have a look at this for you, shall we? So basically, you can go all the way down here to how to play. As you can see, I'm losing. And then you got all this information. So this is just a small snippet of what you can actually do. And there is a lot. Most of it is in advanced control. So you like do things like pull the right stick back and then it winds up and all that lot. There are so many options here you would not believe. This is really in depth, but I think with a bit of practice you can get used to it and, you know, enjoy it. I think we used to play a game a bit like that where you like, I think it was a football game, and yeah, see, this is the fighting fatigue, injured moments, stick fights. It just goes on, the amount of stuff that you can get, and it's quite an impressive array. Well, imagine and see. And so you can actually knock down players, which is pretty cool. And even cooler, there's little birds that fly around their heads as they're sort of like stunned, which is cool. There's a starting bit to gain the puck, and you can even fight. And although this does not really happen that many times, it's fun when you can pull it all off. Although very basic, the appeal kind of wears off over time. You can even get icons over the heads of the players, and these have an effect on the actual individual player, such as, you know, when you're actually doing badly, bad luck, and this means that you miss the puck, you fail to shoot or pass to another player, which is annoying at the time, but it is actually kind of a cool mechanic, as it kind of forces you to almost play a little bit tactfully as well as all the rest tactfully. I personally found bush hockey very hard to get into as a newcomer, but after a while I got used to it, and of course how to actually score points. It's a big learning curve, I will give it that. I can imagine a group of friends getting together to play a few rounds of this, but I could not get anyone to play it with me, unfortunately. But I will try and get some family members around at the weekend and try and like get a game or two going, and leave it down in the comments of how it actually went. Graphically, it's quite nice, but a little old school, so it doesn't look like the prettiest of games out there. Faces seem a little odd at times, but the general look of it has like a polished type look to it, and the actual matches do actually look quite good in an old school way. Audio is amazing, the music is standout and very impressive, and well worth just listening to it on its own. And as for that commentary, well, it's pretty good, although Will Smith has kind of spoiled it a little, as when he says wow, it sounds a little bit like Chris Rock after the slap. And please leave down in the comments if you kind of like get this vibe as well, and it's not just me. And yes, before everyone says, I know it's not done deliberately. The good, top notch as far as I can see ice hockey gameplay. Different level controls for different levels of players. Commentary is pretty decent. That music, nice. And multiplayer, always a good one. The bad, had a problem with players sticking to my goalie and not really moving away. This made it difficult for me to make an actual shot out to the rest of my players. Is this actually a thing in hockey, or is this a bug? Please someone let me know down in the comments. Long load screens between matches. Confusing to start with. A pretty decent ice hockey game that's got enough to keep probably most people entertained. And my first jump into this sport on the Switch. Or mostly on anything really. Once I mastered the controls, sort of, it got a lot better and easier. I'll go back to this one and even more so to try out that multiplayer option. I'll be giving Bush Hockey League a 3+ out of 5, and I think this will appeal to fans of the sport and even those that want a bit more in depth, but not so in depth that it spoils it and it actually keeps it fun. And that music, just nice. Now then, as I search for an alternative to a game that I've never searched on the Switch before, it would be great if you could subscribe to my channel, and I'll keep you up to date with all the latest reviews and sales each week. And liking this video goes on to help small channels like mine grow. And so that alternative, and wow, there really are not many out there. But I found Super Blood Hockey is what I'm going to suggest, and it's a pixel art-ish looking hockey game that kind of reminds me of Sensible Soccer, if anyone actually remembers that game. And I mean the original, not that sucky remake of it. If you have a better suggestion, of course, or indeed any thoughts on Bush Hockey League, leave them down below. And if you're interested in continuing that conversation or just coming for a chat, then join the community Discord. Because life is better when we switch together.